Net Zero, inside the UK's industrial shift. Across the UK, a quiet revolution is reshaping industry. From factory floors to engineering facilities to construction sites, the commitment to sustainability is no longer a choice, it's a necessity. As the country races towards its net zero ambitions, the industries that once drove carbon emissions are now leading the charge towards a greener future. Companies large and small are reimagining how they work and the impact they leave behind. In today's programme, Executive TV explores how UK industries are tackling the transition to net zero, some of the challenges they face, and some viable solutions. Tapex Thread Inserts specialises in the manufacture of threaded inserts for plastics, woods, light metal alloys, and composite materials.
Tapex has a long history. It was originally founded in 1956 on this site, in a milk shed, believe it or not, and it has grown from that into the thriving business that it is today. The majority of the business is in Europe, but that's one of the things that we're looking forward to moving forward, is expanding out geographically. There's great opportunity for us to expand into markets such as the US and other parts of Asia. Tapex manufactures predominantly brass threaded inserts. So these are often products that have both an internal and an external thread. What that does is it means that the product is very secure in the material it's going into. If you can imagine tightening up a screw into a piece of plastic, if you just put it into the plastic, the screw comes out pretty easily. When you've got a threaded insert in there, once you put that screw in, it's really well retained.
Alpha Electrics is a leading provider of specialist industrial electric motor and drive services.
Alpha Electrics was formed over 30 years ago in 1990. We're a family-run business. It was initially set up by our father. Our father, he gained his electrical experience while working on the docks in Mombasa, repairing electric motors from merchant shipping. And that experience he brought over when we moved across to the UK, and hence we set up Alpha Electric. So Alpha Electrics is a service company. So we provide service to our customers who are basically in a breakdown situation most of the time. And so we focus on their requirements, on the speed of turnaround, the completion of repairs or replacement or supply of replacement parts as required.
Grand Barrier Systems is a leading supplier and installer with experience in the design and installation of environmental acoustic fence, noise barriers, air quality barriers, and security fencing.
Grand Barriers has been around for around 30 years now. It was established in 1995. It was set up by Ray Heisman and Steve Whittle, who's currently the MD. It's pretty much a family-run business. But it was established through the experience of Ray and Steve, where they found an opportunity where noise pollution was in its early stages in the UK. And Steve, through his old company, which was a fencing contractor, was travelling across Europe. So he saw the opportunity that Europe were well in advance of the UK, and they were using much better systems, greater technology, ways which he's seen an opportunity to improve the lifestyle and also the construction industry within the UK. One of the unique things that Steve sort of saw when he was across Europe was the fact that some solutions were manufactured in a modular type of construction, which meant it was much quicker and easier to install on site.
Across transport, engineering, manufacturing and beyond, sustainability has become a core priority. Companies are rethinking traditional methods, investing in cleaner technologies, and embracing circular economy principles.
The current state of the engineering industry in the UK itself, I would say, is currently in a constant leapfrog due to constant advancements due to the nature of engineering is always to innovate, then mass produce, then innovate again. You can see it everywhere you go in the common devices you see. They've always gotten smaller and they've gotten everywhere for cheaper and cheaper. Something that used to be considered a luxury like a computer that would take up a room, we now have in the touch of our hands.
Engineering in Leicester has changed dramatically over the years. There were very large manufacturing sites with many employees, but that has now changed with the change in market. A lot of production has gone abroad. We used to have a lot of textile in Leicester. We used to specialise in shoe machinery manufacturing, but due to higher costs, production has moved across to other countries. So the size of manufacturing units in Leicester are smaller now. So there is less textile, there's less mechanical engineering. There's been some changes where food industry is more prevalent in Leicester. We have one of the largest crisp manufacturers based in Leicester. Packaging industries are flourishing in Leicester. So industry has changed. Again, it's due to competition, markets.
Well, the current state of the UK manufacturing industry, it's quite challenging at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of geopolitical uncertainty going on around the world. 80% of what we manufacture, we're exporting. I think the opportunity is to have a clear differentiator between you and your competitors to make sure you've got that competitive advantage. The manufacturing industry embraces sustainability. It's very much customer driven. So we see a lot of requests coming through for various documentation, accreditation, and obviously we work with our customers to try and meet those goals.
Graham has several solutions which addresses waste involved in our sector, whether that be waste we typically kind of try and avoid on site, or there are many initiatives like Zero to Waste Landfill, which Network Rail do. I think they target something like 95%. They mustn't have 5% is the maximum they're allowed to go off site. Graham plays its own important part in all of this, as in some of the products we actually do are made from waste. For instance, we have a product, it's called Poly Sunblock. It's made from recycled window frames. And funnily enough, the absorbent material inside is actually made from recycled drinking bottles.
While taking meaningful steps towards sustainability is crucial, it is not without hurdles. From supply chain issues to balancing profitability with environmental compliance, there remain massive challenges that need to be addressed.
Graham itself also looks to reduce our carbon and emissions. One great example is the fact that we've recently installed EV chargers in our offices across the UK, which allows our staff then to responsibly use their electric vehicles, whether that be their cars or the trucks we use for our installation. We also have in-house recycling as well as commercial recycling on the installation sites we do as well. So we do embrace sustainability in recycling to the best we can. There's always ways to improve, of course there is, but I think we're doing a pretty good job.
In engineering, to make it more sustainable, again, it's the transition from different energy sources, how we use our electricity, where it's sourced from, where it comes from, whether it's renewable energy or whether it's solar. That's a decisions that companies will have to make going forwards. And the use of gas, how to minimize the use of gas. Some processes, manufacturing processes, do need heat, and the only way is gas, natural gas. So how can we transition from that? What are the costs involved? That will influence how industry changes. So with climate change, we believe it's incumbent on all individuals as well as companies to have a responsible policy on managing waste, sustainability, using energy efficiently, using materials efficiently. People and companies need to manage sustainability going forwards. It's for the future of everyone, for generations.
I think one of the main challenges to making manufacturing more sustainable is the initial cost, as well as the certification and accreditations that are required. There's a lot of administrative work that's necessary to fulfil those particular requirements, and that can be quite challenging.
So sustainability and profitability are two things that you would argue sometimes work against each other, but done in the right way, with a lot of care and consideration, they can work in the long term. So that sometimes, I guess you could say there'll be some short-term pain, but long-term gain when you talk about those two things. But we've experienced some shifts in the materials, for example. The cost of material that is lead-free is starting to reduce. Companies are finding ways of making that more effectively. And as a result of that, we're also finding ways to produce the product more effectively.
With the UK government setting ambitious targets for net zero by 2050, businesses face regulatory pressure. However, the government must introduce strong policy changes, potential grants, and come up with new ways to aid companies in their transition to net zero.
For argument's sake, one of the sectors that Graham is actively involved in is a sector called renewable energy, where people look into things called battery energy storage sites, which can be anywhere. And typically they are big generators, but they're actually there to take the pressure off the main infrastructure. Now, with so many electric vehicles coming along, there's going to be a lot of pressure. I, for argument's sake, charge my electric vehicle at night. And they've actually said that if you charge your electric vehicle during the day, you pay more, because that's to actually de-incentivize people, because the grid couldn't handle everybody charging during the day. There's a lot of infrastructure which has to be looked at as well to reach these goals. There's also a lot of behavioural change that has to come from the government, but has to be embraced by the public.
So to make the UK more sustainable, the government can act in many different ways, I think. First of all, clearly it needs to invest in our own energy. So we have secure energy supplies, which are green, maybe more renewable energy, could be more sustainable. So heading towards net zero, we have already made changes to the way we light our building. We use LED lighting. We replaced all our halogen-based bay lighting. So that's our first step. Then, as and when, as we progress, as we require new equipment, our main source of energy that we use is electricity. That's one for us going forwards. How we incorporate maybe solar energy to supply our building. Again, it's all costs which have to be met at some point.
The net zero by 2050, I believe, is something that can be achieved, but it'll be achieved through companies like TAPEX and others really taking things forward, sometimes to comply with requirements, but also just using its own initiative to find ways to produce things in a more effective way to minimise our environmental impact. And there are lots of ways in which we can do that, and we're going to continue to look at evolving and making sure that we're being as lean and green as we can be as we move forward. I think we've got a real opportunity in the UK to drive, certainly from my perspective, manufacturing forward. There's a great opportunity for us to take all of that just incredible technical skill that exists through current resource that's already in the country, but also young people coming through the education system, giving them the vision, the understanding about what can be done. I think the government needs to have a good, clear strategy on what it means to be sustainable. And I think what companies need is that vision, that clarity for the short term, clearly, but also the medium and long term. If we have clear direction and a path of travel that we can all go along, I think that we'll all be able to move forward with confidence. That will help us think about investments. I think there are other things that the government can do in terms of incentives. A number of incentives that have been there have either been removed or reduced in terms of its offering. That makes it really difficult, especially in the current climate, to sometimes justify the investment. We've been lucky, we've made that investment and believe it's the right thing to do. But in order for the whole country and the world to move forward, I think a number of governments, but the UK especially, need to really have a clear plan and stick to it.
Reducing carbon emissions has become a defining metric of progress. Companies are reducing waste internally, switching to renewable energy, and rethinking logistics to shrink their environmental footprint.
So sustainability at Alpha Electrics, we try to look at each of our processes. So whether it's packing, dispatch, or whether it's whilst we're repairing electric motors, try to recycle as much as possible. We don't make our own packaging boxes, so we reuse whatever materials that are come through to us, whether it's pallets or boxes, and any waste that's produced, so whether it's office waste or workshop waste, that gets recycled. So we try to help where we can. Here we have a paperless office, so all documents are scanned and saved, and we use electronic iPads for our job management, for taking pictures, recording test results. It's all done via electronic method. We try to only purchase or use what we need, rather than having excessive materials sitting around doing nothing on the shelf. We only purchase stock, we only purchase raw materials, we only purchase spares that are required and are necessary for us to work efficiently.
Waste is something that naturally comes from our process, but the way we try and minimise that really is through a strong recycling programme. All of our materials are very clearly segregated. We even have a range of machines that will only run a certain specific type of material to minimise and make sure that there's no risk of contamination. The better job we can do of having clear segregation of materials will mean that any waste that is generated from the production process can then be cleaned off, oil stripped out, and then recycled back to the manufacturing company that produced the original content. So we're doing a really good job of that. I'm really proud of how we operate and how the team performs in managing our materials. Tapex really looks at production efficiencies. One of the things that we have to make sure we do is not overproduce. What we want to do is maintain a certain level of stock and inventory of our products, which means that we can supply from stock, but we don't want to overproduce. One of the key wastes that exists around the world, and that's something that's happened sadly over the last few years since COVID, has been an overproduction of products. And most manufacturing companies have felt some degree of pain there. So a lot of things have been produced that haven't been consumed. As I look at Tapex as a business and look at how the future looks, we're going to really strike a good balance here on making sure we've got the right product in stock at the right time, but also ensure that we run our processes as effectively as possible.
Traditional noise barriers are mostly known to be timber, which some people may think is ethically sourced. The problem is timber does degrade, therefore it needs to be replanted, whereas there are man-made materials which I believe are much more ethically based. These are recycled materials like our recycled plastic barriers and recycled rubber from tyre barriers. These are materials which otherwise would go into landfill. Graham is a firm believer in reusing, upcycling materials, which also combines with a more durable and beneficial product. Recycling within our industry is extremely important. Graham makes sure that our staff are aware of the importance of recycling, not only in the way we do business every day, but also in the products we use. Recycling helps reduce carbon. Some of the processes reduce carbon, so we are trying to use better ways of transport, recycling waste off-site. Also, some of our customers, we have to adhere to their recycling programs. So it's a way of a collaborative approach of us working hand in hand with our clients. One of the key things when it comes to noise barriers, in my mind, is durability. Durability is everything, how long a product lasts. Some of our clients also have durability at the core of their services. For argument's sake, Network Rail, they have a 120-year design life for most of their assets. Now, typically, most products won't last 120 years. But if a noise barrier can last 40 years, more than a 30-year-old timber barrier could, That means they don't have to change that barrier as often, which means the whole life cost then is a lot less. National highways, for argument's sake, have a 60-year design life. In 60 years, you're changing a 20-year product twice, whereas with a 40-year product, you're only changing it once.
To close the skills gap and future-proof the workforce, apprenticeships are helping bridge generations, helping train and equip youth with knowledge in sustainable practices and promoting forward and innovative thinking.
Recruitment within the construction industry is quite difficult at present, given the fact that there's so many mega and ultra projects like HS2, etc. There's a lot of press surrounding the fact that key skills aren't there anymore, and there's big promotional pushes at academia to get more people involved in the sector. Graham acknowledges this, and what we try and do as a company is try and upskill our existing workforce. We try and take them through many things like advanced learning, on-site learning, any ways where they can benefit from improving their technology and their skill set, which can bring benefit obviously to us as a company, but ultimately to the client themselves.
So here at Alpha Electrics, we have recruited from local industry, and in the past we've had to meet the skill requirement. We've actually recruited from abroad. Engineering is a difficult industry. It's very manual with the work. So encouraging youngsters, it's difficult for them to join this type of work. Again, we're in the future going forward, we're looking at apprenticeships, but we need to make the industry more attractive.
When it comes to recruiting, we use a number of recruitment agencies for selected positions, so for administration and for sales functions. Manufacturing, we're quite close to key areas such as Birmingham, Coventry and Redditch. So there is a pool of talent there for machine operators. But what's very important for us is an apprenticeship programme and bringing young talent through the business. The apprenticeship schemes are focused on various parts of the business and vital for new talent coming through the business as we move forward. But we also offer training programmes for existing staff to upskill if they want to progress through the company. Every employee has a training plan dependent on their role and the particular skill set that's required, and then any additional training for personal development that's on an individual basis and reviewed annually.
So the best part of being an apprentice is learning on the job, being able to earn while I'm learning, and the variety in my day, especially in engineering. Hands-on is absolutely vital. You can read through a textbook, but you need to do the job to truly understand it.
Innovation is more than a tool for sustainability. It enables companies to remain ahead of the curve and allows industries to remain competitive on the global stage. Whether through digital transformation, advanced manufacturing, or cleaner technologies, innovation is what keeps UK industries at the forefront.
Truly, innovation is just doing things differently, using different materials. And I'd like to think Graham does that in bucket loads. Innovation to Graham, it's about improving everything we do. So that's improving our process, streamlining, bringing innovative products to the marketplace, bringing innovation in the way we install our products. So innovation is everything to Graham.
Alpha Electric's innovations internally are all related to how we face the current industry, how we are able to better serve our customers, but also how we can better make ourselves able to confront new innovations. For example, a new motor comes in, we used to get things which were quite simple plug-and-play motors, but now we've got encoders, resolvers, built-in drives. We are constantly creating test equipment to run these. We've managed to get multiple motors in the last year alone where we've had to stop, go, we've not seen this equipment, this has come out in less than a year, we need to face this, and we've taken the time to create entire programs to run it, testing equipment, And now we've gone from going, we can test this many motors, we can fix this many motors, we can get these out to customers, to expanding that to include these 2 new types of motors, just like that, which have broadened our ability and allowed us to get more customers coming in, no longer wondering how are they going to get these repaired.
Innovation is the element that's really going to drive our future. So that can be around materials, it can be around product design, it can be around process. Those things, we really need to look at how we produce, what materials we're producing with, and also understanding the future direction of our customers' products. And those 3 things all factored in will help us understand how we can develop our product and innovate and take what's currently perhaps not even thought about and be a solution for the future. So it's a really exciting part. That's where I get the most satisfaction, seeing us solve a problem that, in some cases the customer almost didn't know they had. It's a tagline that our chairman has always stood by, TAPEX, find solutions customers didn't even know they needed.
The road to a sustainable future is long and often complex, but across the UK, industry is proving that progress is not only possible, it's already happening. In every sector, from transport and construction to engineering and manufacturing, the old boundaries of what's possible are being redrawn by a growing sense of urgency.